Okay, don't do that. Gosh, that's okay. Well, I need to go back. That seems so sudden. Like, what did I miss? All right, well, I am back with another Apologist Reacts. I decided to go ahead and take a break from West Wing because I could probably do scenes from the West Wing for dozens of episodes, but I wanted to add some variety. So I'm going to jump over to movies. I've had several people asking me to respond to some scenes from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so that's what I'm going to do for the next few of these. So I've got some scenes that have been suggested from Age of Ultron, several from Captain America Civil War, and then I also have something from Infinity War. And so I think that's what we'll be doing for the next few episodes. But again, I'm an apologist and a speaker. I try to help people to have good dialogues. And so what I'm looking for when I'm analyzing these scenes is this a healthy and productive dialogue? What are the things that we can all learn from both the things that the characters in these scenes are doing well, as well as what they are not doing well? And when you've got movies and TV shows and just the way that Hollywood writing happens, a lot of times you're going to see things that that you don't want to emulate, but they can be potentially even better teaching moments for us than the things that characters are doing well. So I haven't seen Age of Ultron in a long time. In fact, I think I've only seen it all the way through once. Don't roast me in the comments for that. I really like some of the later Marvel stuff. It's just not what I usually turn on when I'm rewatching movies. So that's good, I think, in this case, because I like kind of trying to react to this live. I have no talking points. I haven't reviewed this recently. And let's take a look at this scene.
What's the rumpus?
Well, the scepter. You see, we were wondering how Strucker got so inventive. So I've been analyzing the gem. Inside, you may recognize
Jarvis?
Doctor. Started out, Jarvis was just a natural language UI. Now he runs the Iron Legion. He runs more of the business than anyone besides Pepper.
Oh?
Top of the line.
Yes?
I suspect not for long.
Meet the competition.
It's beautiful.
If you had to guess, what's it look like?
Like it's thinking.
This is great so far.
It's not a human mind. I mean, look at this. They're like neurons firing.
Down in Strucker's lab, I saw some fairly advanced robotics work. They deep sixed the data, but I gotta guess he was knocking on a very particular door.
Artificial intelligence.
This could be it, Bruce. This could be the key to creating Ultron.
I thought Ultron was a fantasy.
Yesterday it was. If we can harness this power, apply it to my Iron Legion protocol.
That's a man-sized if.
Our job is if.
I think this is good so far. Kind of from the beginning of this, I think if you're in Banner's shoes, the Hulk's shoes, you can tell from the things that Tony Stark is saying that he knows more walking into this than Banner does. This is almost a little bit like a presentation that he's giving that clearly is supposed to turn into a brainstorm session. But in the beginning, they're not really on unequal playing field. And I think that can be annoying for people sometimes, or can make them feel a little bit defensive or like they've got to kind of show off. And I just really feel like you don't get that from Banner here. He's intrigued, he's interested, he's in kind of learning mode. He doesn't seem put off by this. And then now that he's becoming more clear about where Tony wants to go with this, and you're going to start seeing this kind of disagreement, I feel like he's doing really well right now. Like, he's not doing things I think should put Tony on the defensive. That was a clarification question that he asked about like where things were the day before or what had been said before. And Tony's kind of clarifying, yeah, I feel differently now. So that's totally fine. Then the second thing he says, where he kind of says, that's a big if, also perfectly fine, is very clear. Like, okay, here's the reason why I'm not sold yet, is because I might not be convinced that if thing is actually going to happen. So I think that this is going really well so far.
What if you were sipping margaritas on a sun-drenched beach, turning brown instead of green? Not looking over your shoulder for Veronica.
Don't hate. I helped design Veronica.
As a worst case measure, right? How about a best case? What if the world was safe? What if next time aliens roll up to the club, and they will, they couldn't get past the bouncer?
The only people threatening the planet would be people.
I want you to notice something about their eye contact. This is a thing that you can either do too much or too little. There's kind of a spectrum, and kind of best is in the middle. You obviously don't want to have a dialogue with someone where there is zero eye contact. At the same time, it is maybe not equally awkward, but it is still unnerving for most people if you are like making eye contact with them the entire time, like staring into their soul. So it is possible to kind of overcorrect and be like, ooh, I want to make sure that I'm doing eye contact well, that I'm showing that I'm engaged with them, and to overcompensate. And what naturally most people end up doing is they're going to have eye contact some of the time, but then there's going to be some times that you kind of break that eye contact. And that is just something that just generally makes people feel more comfortable. And so if you pay attention to their eye contact, they're doing it in, I think, a natural way. I'll rewind a little bit. You can kind of watch it again. They're making eye contact sometimes. Banner is looking to him sometimes as Tony's talking, but then sometimes he's looking away. I notice that I do this a lot. Like when I'm in like a brainstorm session and, you know, one of my staff says something really interesting that I've got to like process a bit, like I will look away and I'll be thinking about that, and they can tell that I'm thinking about that. I think that's a good thing. I think it's good for them to know I'm not distracted. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not, you know, or whatever. Like I'm processing that, and then I'm going to come back to them with a thought, you know, whatever. And so you see that happening a lot here. And so I know some neuroatypical people who are on the autism spectrum, and this is an area where they can kind of struggle and have a lot of empathy for neuroatypical people, because it's harder for them to kind of try to figure out what is it that people want here. And not all autistic people are the same, even if they're on a similar point on the spectrum, and it is a vast spectrum. But for some of them, eye contact, it can be one of the hardest things for them. Like they might get to the point where they can have kind of a conversation with someone that doesn't feel very awkward, but at the same time, they have a really hard time with eye contact, and they have to, you know, maybe focus on their foreheads, or that's just a thing that's extra hard. So if you know someone who's neuroatypical that doesn't make a lot of eye contact, that is why it is very, very uncomfortable for some neuroatypical people to make eye contact. But a lot of times they're doing their best to figure out how neurotypical people do eye contact, and eventually, you know, typically will try to imitate that. And so if you're neuroatypical, this is a great example of how to do this. So I'm gonna go back a little bit, watch their eye contact.
As a worst case measure, right? How about a best case? What if the world
Looks toward them, looks away.
What if next time
Looks at them again, he's looking away.
Club, and they will, they couldn't get past the bouncer?
Looking at him,
The only
looks
people
away.
threatening the planet would be people.
I want to apply this to the Ultron program, but Jarvis can't download a data schematic this dense. We can only do it while we have the scepter here. That's 3 days. Give me 3 days.
So you're going for artificial intelligence, and you don't want to tell the team.
Right. That's right. You know why? Because we don't have time for a city hall debate. I don't want to hear the man was not meant to meddle medley.
So, okay, so there's, you know, the disagreement is becoming more clear. I feel pretty good about how Banner asked that question. It's a clarification question, and we've talked about this before. It's a clarification question, but it's got a little bit of a leading tone. You can tell Banner probably doesn't agree with this, but he's pushing for clarity from Tony. Is this what you're saying? You want to do this thing and you want to keep it a secret from the team, which should at least be like a questionable decision on its face. But I don't feel like it was super snarky or something like that. There are so many different ways to say that line in a more accusatory way. And I don't feel like that was very accusatory. And I don't feel like Tony is super defensive here either. I feel like he's making now an argument. He is now in persuasion mode and being clear about why he doesn't want to tell the team, which is basically, I know the argument that they're going to make and I don't want to hear it. Which, as an apologist, I want to say is not a very good argument, and is pretty dismissive. Like I would want to hear like why does he disagree with that argument? And even if he does disagree, even if he knows what they're going to say, which you never really do, but even if he's got a good guess, and he happens to be right about that guess, about what they're going to say, and he knows how he's going to respond, that doesn't mean they shouldn't have the conversation. Like he might have obligations to go through that process with them. And if you're going to be open-minded, if you're going to like take that extra step toward intellectual virtue and say, I am open to being wrong about things, then you should want to have that conversation because maybe you're wrong. So like Tony is not acting very open-minded here because the implication is, I know what they're going to say. I know they're definitely wrong. I know I'm definitely right. So what's the point? So Tony loses points here on open-mindedness. But as far as like the health of the dialogue, it's not too bad right now.
I see a suit of armor around the world.
Sounds like a cold world, Tony.
I've seen colder. This one, this very vulnerable blue one, it needs Ultron.
I don't think Tony's response to the Cold War thing is very good. I've seen colder. I've seen worse. Like that's going to lead a bad way. I've seen worse. I think that's too dismissive and it's not doing a good job. Again, this is like in my apologist shoes. It's not a good counter argument. The better counter argument would be you're wrong. It's actually not analogous to a Cold War situation, or in this case, that's okay because X. Again, this might be an area where, again, like this is a Hollywood writing. They're trying to keep this a lot shorter than a long-form dialogue that is usually going to be more healthy and probably more productive. But again, I'm calling balls and strikes here.
Peace in our time. Imagine that.
Okay, so that's the end of that scene. So I'm trying to think of what do I think about the fact that Tony was walking away from him before I feel like the dialogue is really over. It doesn't signal. No, well, let's say I think this is going to come down to interpretation. So Banner could have interpreted it multiple ways. It could possibly signal you are kind of done having this back and forth, this dialogue. You're not that interested in what else the other person has to say. Like the scene is wrapping up, the dialogue is wrapping up. I am walking away and I'm staring off into the sunset or whatever. I think in most real world situations, that's not going to be a good move, like to completely change where you are before the end of the dialogue. I think that can come across really dismissive. I think this is one of those things that like mileage may vary. You might have a situation where you've got so much rapport and like there's also a difference like where you're at. I feel like if you're all outside and you're like standing around somewhere having a brainstorm session, someone could walk away a little bit and like process and then kind of turn around. Like there are versions of that are probably fine. Whereas like if you're having a conversation around like the kitchen table or the dining room table and then you like get up and walk away, like see how different that is? So some of this comes down to also like the location, the setting that you're having the dialogue. I would say for that one scene, I'd rate Banner at a good 9. As far as like health goes, I don't think he tried as hard as he could have to change Tony's mind. That also could be because he was noting the closed-mindedness. I feel like he did a really good job of not making Tony particularly defensive, and so I'll give him a 9 because it could have been better, but it would be pretty hard. Tony, I'm gonna rate him down to I'm gonna give him a 6, and a lot of that, like the points that I've taken away, comes down to that closed-mindedness thing. The more dialogues I have, and this is something I've been noticing in social media dialogue too lately, is the more closed-minded someone acts, it just has such a huge effect on a conversation, and it kind of demotivates other people to like, why am I trying to change your mind if you're so convinced that you're right, kind of a thing. And so I feel like once he got past the presentation and they're having the back and forth, the way he's acting, the fact that he's also being so dismissive of what, the natural counter argument to his plan is, he might deserve less than a 6, really. Because he's not He's not asking Banner to kind of come back at him and say, okay, well, here's my response to that. What do you think? Yeah, I want to say it's worse. So, I mean, they're not yelling, but like Tony's not yelling and everything. I'm gonna give him 5. I'm changing it. He's going down to a 5 for me because of how much he's not kind of pushing the ball back into Banner's court. So I think Banner did way better in this dialogue. But again, this could have been a lot worse, right? Which we might see in this next scene.
Was the first line of defense. He would have shut Ultron down. It makes sense.
No. Ultron could have assimilated Jarvis. This isn't strategy. This is rage.
Okay, so again, it's been a long time since I saw this, but clearly this is after Ultron has, like they've kind of had that first fight, like they were having a party, like an Avengers party, and then Ultron shows himself. They have this conversation. Ultron kills or damages Jarvis, and then is like out or whatever. So the cat's out of the bag, and now they're all talking about it.
Whoa! It's going around.
Okay, don't do that. Gosh, that's okay. Well, I need to go back. That seems so sudden. Like, what did I miss? That was super aggro. Okay, I need to go back. What the heck happened?
Ultron down. It makes sense.
No. Ultron could have assimilated Jarvis. This isn't strategy. This is rage.
Whoa! It's going around.
Come on, use your words, buddy.
I have more than enough words to describe you, Stark.
Thor, the Legionnaire. Trail went cold about 100 miles out, but it's headed north. And it has the scepter. Now we have to retrieve it, again.
The genie's out of that.
Okay. Way not cool. I think like basically at the point that you physically assault someone, I think like don't you basically have to get a 1 from me at the end of like no matter what happens now? Like I'm thinking of like we've got a chart. This is a little bit personal, but I think this is okay. We have a chart of on our walls in our house of like the different kinds of infractions, the kind of like rules that our kids can disobey, and then like corresponding consequences. So we can try to be like really consistent, and we can just kind of point at the thing when they do the thing. And like it's escalated. It goes like from the least bad, stuff to, more and more, problematic infractions. And the one at the bottom is physical assault. Like if they try to hurt each other on purpose. It's just intentional assault. It's not like accidentally like roughhousing gone awry. It's like, they actually like get mad, throw a temper tantrum and try to hurt the other one. Like that is you get the biggest consequence for that one. And so like, it's kind of the same thing here. Like this is so beyond the pale aggro. Like I'm trying to like think to myself like, okay, the fact that the Avengers know that they are like all like sort of like superhuman to some extent, does that like change anything? But Tony's not, right? Tony gets all of his power from the suit. Like this is like, couldn't he crush him like a bug unless Tony gets like anyway, not okay. Way escalates the conversation. Thor has to get a 1 now. And the fact that now he's like, kind of stating why he's upset or part of why he's upset in a calmer tone, I don't like, doesn't really fix it. That's way not okay.
That bottle. Clear and present as Ultron.
I don't understand. You built this program. Why is it trying to kill us?
You think this is funny?
Okay, so note that Banner is giving him the dude, not cool move, because this is super not cool on Tony's part. Laughing at their legitimate concerns, even if their concerns were wrong. Laughing at them is so dismissive. It's not as bad as grabbing them by the throat, but I think it's one of the worst things that you can do in a conflict like this, outside of really weird exceptions. Like I want to tend to avoid making super hard and fast rules, but this is beyond the pale dismissive. It is offensive, which is why Banner's giving him this. And Thor's question, you think this is funny, is perfectly legitimate, and is, I think, the way that you should respond to someone who is acting like this. This is wrong. It's bad behavior. It should be called out. Tony loses lots of points for me on this scene just for what he's doing here.
No? It's probably not, right? This is very terrible. Is it so? It is. It's so terrible.
This could have been avoided if you hadn't played with something you don't understand.
I'm sorry. It is funny. It's a hoot that you don't get why we need this.
Tony, maybe this might not be the time.
Really? That's it. You just roll over, show your belly every time somebody snarls.
Only when I've...
Okay, multiple problems. So, one, it was like so hard for me to like even like track with Tony's like reversal, then he's acting all serious, and then he's like, no, this is funny, and he makes it clear like he is attacking their intelligence. How could you be this stupid? So that's beyond the pale bad. He's mocking them. He's mocking them in about the most like derisive way that you could. You act all serious and be like, it is a hoot how funny and stupid you're being. Like, it's really bad. And then, Banner again calls him out. I want to hear again what Banner says. How does he call him out here? And I've got a thought about him.
This might not be the time.
Really?
This might not be the time. Like, this might not be the time is about the biggest understatement in the conversation. But also, like that's how you handle someone who is being awful in a dialogue. Is like he's trying to de-escalate. Flawless there from Banner. He's going to get a 10 from me at the end of this, I think. Like, so good.
Just roll over, show your belly every time somebody snarls.
Only when I've created a murder bot.
We didn't.
Okay. Fair. I think that's pretty fair. So the other thing I wanted to say that Tony's doing bad here is he's gone beyond attacking the argument or attacking them in the sense that he's basically calling them stupid. He's also attacking at least Banner's character. In this sense, he's basically calling him a coward. Don't do this, right? I this is like obvious enough. I probably don't need to spend a lot of time explaining to you why you shouldn't attack people's characters in a debate or in a conflict. This is total ad hominem attack. It's really bad.
We weren't even close. Were we close to an interface?
Well, you did something right. And you did it right here. The Avengers were supposed to be different than S.H.I.E.L.D.
Anybody remember when I carried a nuke through a wormhole?
No, it's never come up.
Save New York?
Never heard that.
Recall that? A hostile alien army came charging through a hole in space. We're standing 300 feet below it. We're the Avengers. We can bust arms dealers all the live long day, but that up there, that's the end game. How are you guys planning on beating that?
Together.
Okay, this is a lot better, right? I like that Tony asks a question. It's a little bit too pointed, but it's just a lot better than what he was doing before. What would be your suggestion, kind of a thing? I think that's really good. I think Captain America is being good. I don't remember his name, but I think Captain America is being pretty good in how he's handled this. Soft but firm, principled. This is being like it's probably like it's not realistic. Like, you're not going to get to this place so quickly after someone has been grabbed by the throat and another person has been super insulting. Like, this is super Hollywood. They've sped up through what would take a lot of, I think, time to get to this place in most cases. But this is going a lot better now.
We'll lose. And we'll do that together, too. Thor's right. Ultron's calling us out. And I'd like to find him before he's ready for us. The world's a big place. Let's start making it smaller.
Yeah, I don't think I have a lot more to say about that. I think Tony gets a point for finally shutting up at the end. Captain America kind of steps into this role of, ad hoc leader and kind of says, here's what we're going to do now. And Tony shuts up. No one agrees with him. I think he's right to do that. And I feel like my read on what he's doing in those final seconds as he's processing what Cap is saying which is a good thing to do. But at the same time, he also might be processing like, do I agree with, with what these guys are saying, or how wrong they are? What should my next move be? And maybe a hostile move. So it's hard to tell there. Okay, so to rate everyone, Thor gets a 1. Tony gets I'll give him a 3. Is really bad though. Banner gets a 10, and I think Cap gets a 10. One of the things I noticed, one of the reasons I'm so impressed with Cap and what he did, is that he's still trying to unite everyone in spite of Tony acting so hostile, in spite of Thor acting so hostile. Like, what he's trying to do is he's de-escalating by trying to unite them against a common enemy, and kind of saying, we're going to do this together, win or lose. And I think that has probably had this really, really positive effect on kind of the tone of the entire thing, and helps kind of resolve the conflict. It doesn't totally resolve it like in a true healthy resolution. There would be, Thor would be apologizing. I shouldn't have grabbed you by the neck. I won't do that anymore. That was super not cool. And Tony is like, man, I shouldn't have been laughing at you. Like that would happen. That would be said. And some trust would be built for future conflicts. But again, this is Hollywood. So, okay. So I will wrap it up there. And in the next episode, we'll take a look at some scenes from Captain America Civil War. Thanks so much for watching.